If you've been looking into adjusting your valves, you know it can be a little bit intimidating and definitely an expensive job if you were to take it to a shop. So my goal for this video is to encourage a rider of any experience level with their mechanics to take on a job like this. It's really a lot easier than you think. It's one simple math problem and a little bit of wrenching. So let's get into it. So I'm doing this adjustment on a 2006 Honda CBR 600 double R motor, but this measuring and adjustment sequence can pretty much go for any inline four motorcycle motor, but with maybe a little bit of variance from different manufacturers. So before we get started, I think it's really important that you get a general understanding of what exactly we're measuring here. So in this picture, I have a photo of the cam, and there's a small gap in between the actual shim bucket and the cam lobe. So when the cams are facing away from that bucket, there's going to be a small gap, and that's the valve clearance. Okay, so before we can get started, I recommend consulting your shop manual, figuring out what your intake and exhaust valves and their tolerances need to be within. Also figure out what valves you're measuring on sequence 1 and sequence 2. Also, you might as well grab torque specs. I go ahead and just grab the valve cover bolts, the cam caps, which are these bolts, and then the cam chain tensioner bolt. And then something you're gonna definitely need to do is when you're going through, you gotta record your number. So I recommend drawing out something like this, and you can, when you take the measurement, you just write what feeler gauge you're able to fit in there, and that's gonna give you your base. Okay, so for sequence 1, we have to get the motor at TDC, and what that is, when this T-F, you need the T-, you need that dash to line up with the external timing cover thread dash. Those two line up like that. You are at TDC at the crank, and then to ensure you are in time, you need to come up to your cams and make sure your intake cam is nice and flush with that cylinder head, and that exhaust cam mark, same thing there. So this motor is obviously 100% in time. And with that being said, let's go ahead and measure our valve clearances so we can get our base numbers down and decide whether or not this motor needs an adjustment.